Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. We're back with more letter, or well, we would be. I'm currently still fighting with the commands. They're not working. I've been trying to see what's going on, but I haven't found a solution. Hello, souls. I've honestly tried to find a way, but none of them are working as they should. I've put everything how they should on event and everything. Nothing's happening. I've tried to imitate any other command. None of them are working. It seems that the whole program has lost connection to everything. So it means that there's again won't be commands, and next time I'll have to be getting a completely different program for this. And meanwhile, any commands that you do, I'll have to do them manually. Which is annoying, but there's nothing else I can do about it. Also, hello souls. How are you doing today? You survived? Hooray! Well, I've been facing today, but it's nice to be here and streaming at a very odd time, though. What did you survive, though? I don't remember. One of these has to do something. Hey, that works! But why is that working? So there's one command that works. Now, if I run the head pat thing, though, I'm not being head patted. Souls, please try to head pat me. I have to figure out what's going on here. Tree element reacts to it, but touch portal doesn't. Since the message that starts with that, make a virtual key press with those. Or make a low level key press with those. I've even tried the low level ones and they don't do anything. Shoutout does work in a different logic though. Maybe it's failing to read the chat? Give me a moment. I know I'm wasting good time for us to do things, but I want to get this fixed. So, connect the Twitch account. Yes. Just a moment. There's a tiny problem here. this is completely irrelevant to the situation. It seems that this, unwanted program that got installed in the last update, so I'm removing it. Go, get out of here. Get out. I never asked for you. There we go. Now let's try this again. Connect the Twitch account. It gives me a secret token. I copy the token. Now shove it into the program. Then I need to request a chat token so we can read the chat. I copy that. And I shove it into the thingy. And then I save. And now it should work, but I'm fairly certain it won't. So Souls, if you can head pat me once more, we'll see if anything happens. Almost. Nope. Again, everything else reacts, but not the thing that we need. It's not reading the Twitch chat. As far as I can tell. Well, I'll have to figure that afterwards. So, use still the head pats. Yeah. Manual key presses. Yeah. Now that we wasted 15 minutes, it's time to get to the game. And maybe save everyone. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons in a nearby waste bin, along with the shift in the mood, and along with the stupid program. Back to the small, back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I missed these kinds of moments between us. Never had the chance. Always busy on some project or work. The things we've taken for granted. Now we're realizing how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to. If we ever free ourselves from this damn curse, I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I was on top of my game and I'm still sure of everything. Now, there's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here, and we've started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not so pleasant kind of fire.
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll...
As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. No, we're safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella. Not to a stupid chain letter. You were too too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone.
It's still not the letter.
I didn't do it on purpose. Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have.
Hey, you two. None of us want to die to this. Just calm down. We ain't getting anywhere shouting at each other.
Yeah, Zach? Keep up the good spirit.
Whose side are you on, Zachary?
No one's. But we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it, and both you and Ashton...
That doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
And you're not?
I didn't say that! Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
I tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one? You're just as responsible for this as I am.
So now, you're throwing it back at us. We wouldn't even be having this problem if you're...
Will you two cut it out? This ain't the place for I don't know, petty squabbles.
Ooh, Zach's getting angry.
If you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Zachary.
Oh no, Zach. Don't stop her. Let her say it. I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's already.
Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
Alright, that's enough!
Ooh, even Ashton's getting pissed.
Everyone, shut up!
They all fold their silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to that kindling. Not at a moment when anytime, anywhere she might get to one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little we're falling apart, caving into the pressure, to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us, rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that possibility might come sooner than I can figure all of this out. Fuck, I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth. That out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to them. This is more their forte than mine. Keeping the peace, blockading everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have turned. After just one unfortunate incident. Well, the turntables. How am I even supposed to cope?
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. After spending a night at the local park, Ashton and his friends try to figure out what the next step will be. However, coupled with the fatigue and stress, the conversation quickly went downhill. Frustrated, Ashton walked out, suggesting they cool their heads first. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I am angry at. The ghost? At them? Or maybe at myself for being this useless? Because despite none of them saying it, I know, goddammit, they're still counting on me. In spite of my failures, or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend, it's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one, they follow me and get in the car. It's in concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence, a heavy gift, their unwavering trust. And yet, it's the one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they're the only ones I have left. Though in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. Might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this. Local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink or you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. Sometimes music played by the drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's the very definition of the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night, but it's safe. As safe as it can be with G's security watching the place. Makes it easy to help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort too. Figure, bartender G or just G to his regular patrons, might be rough around the edges, sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but it belongs to the good folk of this city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him. He means well, surprisingly despite his relative demeanor, cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week, or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world, but in my opinion. But what exactly is it? But that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine there is truth. Alcohol in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down. Whatever inhibitions anyone has, it all flies straight out of the window after a few glasses. This made him observant too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time it's me. Opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked for his help. When I'm met with a dead end in a case or I'm in trouble, this time's no different. As expected, the moment we show up, he's got enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even say anything, and next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards his station hours later, after having gotten that much-needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers lined the counter surface when I entered the room. Behind the bar, G's busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he looks up at me as I claim one of the empty stools and grab the rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow. Turning it absentmindly in my palm, just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's still busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at the dead hour, only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells roughly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless how many times I've made up a trip or sat here at the same spot, just talking with the old man. I've never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet oddly, it's the nasty odor of the brewery that helps to clear the mind this time. Along with the lack of establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through the lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth is curved up in a tight frown that he has a question. Bucket load of it, he wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work. Rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat. Going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movements quietly like this, with these dots swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumption's correct and that the reason Zack was there yesterday morning was because of the curse. Something must have happened there for him to see the need to visit the place this morning. What if the couple has fallen victim to the curse too? It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased, not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... Fuck.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away. And if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there. Where all of this fucking mess started. If no, not only my life on the line there are others. What happened to us, I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them. Or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion, and now there are voices lacing venom inside every crevice of my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
Because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I failed to do, and of who I failed. At some point, they all began to blur together, twining and coiling, every hard image and memory of her, seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it back as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of
You
it.
doing good there, boy?
His hand is on my shoulder, gripping tightly and giving me a slight shake. There's a relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people, after all, even someone who can be as closed off or distant like me. In all the time I've spent in the force, there's only one other person who's as keen as this old guy, the chief. Funny and weird to some degree. I pointed it out to him so many times how they look alike, only for observation to be brushed off with some vehement tone. I told you they were similar. I never brought it up again after the third time, out of respect for the guy. Whatever it is, it's clear it's something he doesn't want to talk about. Why push, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the dot not to come up. He even has to glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like the damn rookie
Looking a
again.
bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Now with her face still clear picture in my head, no.
I heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time?
Whoops.
This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were. Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now. I haven't seen you this stressed out since I closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
As if. Really, I can use some right now. Some to numb the senses. But when has that helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid.
See?
Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslem?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody locals.
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a moment, G stands there unmoving. His hand stops short of placing a glass he's been wiping back to the rack on his left. All the while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? But a week ago I put in the same position. Even now, in spite of things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in. The idea that I may not be able to find the way out of this. Whatever is the case, for people who haven't experienced what I'm going through, this merely sounds like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt the whole time we made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank. I saw something.
Now it's too late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare where the only way out might be death. Like I've expected, G's reaction to it, an amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole plot after a long bout of silence, like I've told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid. You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Although I want to be angry with him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even master the energy scowl or a glare. Not with a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, alright, good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. By now, almost half of the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kinds used for shots and stamped ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking, as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that. If the wistful expression on him says anything...
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. Has always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot. For things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of a person I used to be?
No, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stop calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows at its heels from both of us as he allows its meaning to sink in and spurs something in me, stirring a feeling of both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. But before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, she turns away to begin his work on the silverwares. After the argument at the park, Ashton took his friends somewhere a place where they could rest. G welcomed them to his pub without question. While the others were sleeping, the detective and bartender had a little chat, of the past and what has changed over the years. This is interesting. Note the wording here. Ye welcomed them. This means that whoever's writing this is a regular. He'll need those two once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy. A sharp contrast with the strange air we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with a loud shuffling of a foot from a heavy adjacent hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. There's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Zack's treads alone are telling. There's always a way that's said to them, steps that are taken with lazy cadence. Like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous than he actually is. In the places I'm familiar with, he also tends to linger and stand awkwardly at the sides as if he's still all too afraid to break something. That or he's waiting for permission of some kind. Either way, he's never been the kind of barrel head first into things or forego courtesy, despite appearance. Much like how Rebecca's mother's heading the lease is her fiery temperament, or Isabel's rare display of maturity appears at odds with her youth. There's been a lot of those in my life, it seems. More so from the people I've grown closer to over the years. Walking contradictions, we all are. It's a wonder how we ended up as friends in the first place. But maybe that's exactly why. To some extent, there's still an understanding in there, in knowing. That no matter how long you've been together, or how familiar you are with the person's habits, or how many lifetimes there might be all for you, one can never fully know a person. Sometimes it works because they merely chose to stay. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology, regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey, Ash?
This time I glanced at him, briefly, gauging the mood. Not because reconciliation's an issue for me. Between us, it never will be. But somehow, this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word and this is going to end in another argument. We might as well stop as early as now. There's another long pause from him, in which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. Then, he chooses to dump both into his pockets and strains his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without notice, G has left back to the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zack trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start at least. A stiff one, but a start. Least I can offer is return that rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Curt, risky, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zack takes it aside. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax and he releases a tense breath. Soon he's closing the distance he has put between us and flopped under the chair to my
I
right.
think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts in his seat, coughs, runs his fingers to the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Somehow that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better, not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment. The kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking at any time, it's these little hopes we cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen. I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful, maybe. Never optimistic. But I want to believe there's a way will live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it all took a spur of this kind of... How it took all of this to spur these kind of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like this has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash.
True.
Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. Maybe. What's on your mind, Ash?
Maybe. There really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him the things I won't normally say to the other. Like her who pushes, sometimes with the same tenacity as her moods, Zack has this strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes, the question feels so subtle it catches me off guard, with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, it's like an older brother I've never had. The kind you can depend on when things go sour. The kind you can tell things to simply because he'll listen, without forcing his own opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
It doesn't take him long to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves the worry. The second he realizes what I mean. I've already examined the letter, read through the piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given him once over. The mansion. There we go. Of course, Zack may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years.
Didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
You're an unarmed civilian, Zach.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede. Not from the matter he grips his knees on rigid jet off his
I'm
jaw.
going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream, and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
If I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again when Zack means well, but it's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. I'd feel better if I don't have to worry about you. There are only two ways this will end. Agree with him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals more to the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. If all it takes is a little more honesty to make him drop this harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zach. Zachary, listen. I know you only want to help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it on your own! Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard? I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
My head's okay, Zach. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously? This is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, the faster we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at it, the whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind, or she gets us. It's starting to feel as if there isn't an escape. We've already become her playthings the second Isabella found that letter. It's earlier than that. That our lives are in her hands ticks me off big time. But the idea of watching people I care about die helplessly, more so. They're much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought, I know. Born out of fear. So, in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zack to take the fall with me. I've already made enough
And
mistakes.
that means it's just you.
Just me.
Suddenly he climbs up, although his actions... The restless shift in his shoulders, his mouth pressing close in a tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet note. It gives away his real thoughts, long before 2 words have even made it out of his mouth.
I'm sure you already know about this. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know. You're making your own decisions here. But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there. Please, don't do something like this.
Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed. I just want things to go back to normal, Zack.
Another dead air follows at the heels of one submission. The meaning of my words, too heavy, too striking, it stuns us into another lull. Optimism aside, we're both aware that's impossible. We're going to have to deal with the drama right now after. There will be images, the voices whispering inside our heads, the foreboding feeling, the stench of blood, gore, and the death trailing after us. We may survive those things. They will remain in us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without leaving something in you. Just a mere thought of what might come right after makes me dread it. But this has changed in all of us. But I suppose the outcome is more acceptable. Lesser of 2
3
evils.
hours.
My head snaps up and I turn to him puzzled. He's staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowed in a deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here. If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
From his tone, it sounds almost like a warning. I'm not sure if it's his. I'm sure it's not his intention. But hearing something like that from a person like Zack, I can't help but chuckle and throw in a jug. Despite how dire things are. Just like the old times.
4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things. Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit? I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zack. I'm supposed to set an example.
I so wanna punch you right now.
Of course, Zack never carries it out. In life moments like this, it's just how he is. How we are. Unfortunately, she chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and starts shooting us both a stern look. Although his tone is nothing short of a jovial, the disapproval cleared it. He's obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of my brothers many, many years ago. But listen, I am not having one in my pub, alright? You two want to fight? Go out.
Excuse me? Subtitles? Am I the only one seeing that it says a pregnant pause? Is that an adjective? objective? Is that correct? I've never heard someone describe something as that. Well, I guess the pause is pregnant. Then, without any preamble, Zack and I are both snickering. The cheese Glover melts into confusion. When we both show with no sign of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I'd like to think it's better this way. Better to be hard on light terms so Zack won't have to see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now. Zachary's arrival interrupted Ashton's conversation with Dee. Left alone, the two attempted to mend things between them, only for things to almost turn sour after. Ashton revealed his plans to return to the mansion. His friend eventually questioned after Ashton agreed to a time limit. It's seen enough. The last thing I want him to glimpse is another display of weakness. Nobody still stares at me with the same unerring confidence in his eyes. When our mirth dies down, before anything I can say further, before I can change my mind, I step away from them. Giving Zack's shoulders a few quick pats, mumbling a lame excuse about taking another short nap under my breath. Alligator burying the stray dot that flashes fleetingly in my head. Zack had seen me at my lowest plenty of times. Why does it all of it matter now? The sun hangs lower when I stumble back into consciousness and drag myself downstairs. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches the peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He's always complained about the lack of decent crowd at the week's start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one should start a week on the case of a hangover after all, even him. What makes this concerned look he gives me comes off a bit too odd. The kind of danger we're in, and swiftly puts me on edge, even before the sleep completely fades from my mind.
Anything wrong, G?
He hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it despite his casual and open movement. And only after he finishes wiping the tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Rebecca, I presume? A question forms in my head along with a small confused frown. Although before a single syllable slips past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. From the sound of it, it appears they woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there. But we don't have any other choice, Becca. There's really no other way. We have to go there. If you'll just...
Isabella, no.
That doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca seems to cut a tone in the argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out, or both of them giving each other the silent treatment. It lasts about a week at most if it's really bad, but really, is it what we need right now? I've hoped the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over, after all of us has gotten a decent rest. I should have expected things won't be the same with them as it is with Zack and I. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. Even he appears to understand it. In spite of his efforts to look unconcerned as possible, there's a tense sit on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes as it occasionally flickers over Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I, Things have worked out so well between them without Zack and I meddling. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's
You know
working.
how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning his work without another word. With the lack of sizable crowd, likes to keep busy, we're the same in that regard. Kind of remains still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. But part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even know. Once he's sober, I'll probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns out a shitstorm both of them will regret. And I know both of them will. For all the Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the otter's childlike demeanor, it's a friendship they both cherish in their own way. Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in the almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. I can't speak for Isabella. I rarely see her seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. The way she's glaring up at the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left neatly piled to the corner of the table they occupy, a conversation that turned sour sometime after late lunch then. I think they're already done and nothing's left to be spilled. To see the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends silver clinking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily, but both do, though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this let a ghost everything.
You're blaming me again!
And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess.
You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you!
It's not Isabella's fault.
If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish.
I'm the one who's selfish. Yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache.
You know why I had to come here. My dad.
Your dad has nothing to do with this. It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Rebecca, don't make me regret leaving you alive. Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. Maybe I should have said something the moment Rebecca had slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or the second I've entered the area. By the way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. When Ashton showed up to the pub's main lounge again, he caught Rebecca and Isabella in the middle of an argument. The latter insisted on going back to the mansion, which the former strongly opposed. However, before Ashton could step in, harsh words have already been said. With more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence, Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavy. Despite the lack of words between them, they're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other side. What was their relationship, actually? It was positive. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns thick and smothering. A strained air with no one in immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break until the ones at its center does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become the woman firm with her opinions. She's never going back down from this. Not when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there's always been a certain stubbornness in her. As frustrating as it is to see it sometimes, it's what has gotten her through her life's hardships. Perhaps even the only thing that has. When you have nothing else, people tend to cling on to what they have within themselves instead. She also knows when to withdraw. When the struggle turns useless, and kind of awareness that's second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches towards the exit in fast, rigid steps, away from the hurt and painful words they've let fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact nearly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in the last moment, and I reach out to her, wrapping her arm in a steadying grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have noticed me. I know the correct answer here, but I really need to fix the relationship with Rebecca.
Okay.
There we go. All positive.
Let go, Ashton.
Rebecca has a point, though.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have, after all. Rebecca also has a point I will always agree with, no matter how desperate I am. It's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll be in even greater danger. Hence, alone. Exactly as I have told Zack. If there's a need to go back to that cursed place, I am doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes, anything to keep her safe.
Get it, Belle. You're not going back to that mansion.
But Ash, what about...
This isn't up for debate. Do you really think they'll just let you in? Do you really think they'll give a damn if you walk in there carrying that stupid letter of all things?
No, but there has to be something we can tell them.
Look, I really can't let you do that, Belle.
Ash, the people living in that place now, they were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are.
I know, but it's risky. It's dangerous. You don't know what you might find in there. Or if you'll even find anything. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do? For all we know, it might be a dead end. It's not worth it to put yourself in harm's way like that.
Isabella offers no response, not even a form of resistance, no further arguments like I've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin, till the air in the whole room grows heavy. She merely averts her gaze, and hastily wipes the tears off of her cheeks. Like she only has noticed them in that moment. Then without another word, or even meeting the eye again, she gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair. Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always strained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. In the quietness of the room, I find myself drifting towards her and taking the empty seat next to her. Shortly, she leans her shoulder to mine, like she used to all those years ago. Back when all that mattered to us were grades and what kind of chapel we'll get into next weekend. No curse, no letter, no ghosts. Just us and wherever our imagination will take us.
How are you holding up?
Barely, but I'll be fine. It's probably just this curse thing getting to me.
That bad, huh?
Excuse me, you're stuck in this nightmare too. And then there's Isabella just being frustrating.
You don't mean that.
She makes a face, having been caught in a lie before allowing a small smile to replace it.
You're right. I don't. She might act like that, but in the end, she's still my best friend. I should probably apologize later.
Your fights never did last long.
They're always so petty these days. I just can't wait for this whole thing to be over. That way we can go back to how everything used to be.
You know that's impossible.
A truth. And we both falter into silence in the face of it. Her mouth opens briefly and assumes she's about to argue her opinion about it. Maybe say something contrary to it. But eventually, she simply nods, reads out, and relaxes her rigid posture. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something in her mind. Seeing it, a smile spreads across my face, and knowing and perhaps a little pleased. It's one thing to know of change. Watching it play out in front of me is an entirely different matter. In that one exchange, I've got a short, clear, and a glimpse of what I've shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We will never be the same person we once were. And perhaps it's for the better. Rebecca notices soon enough, like she always did. Whatever she sees in my face startles her, causing her to jerk
Why
away.
are you staring at me like that?
Nothing. Don't mind me.
I know that look, Ashton Frey. That's definitely not a nothing. You wouldn't be wearing that expression if you didn't have something on your mind.
Really? It's nothing. It's just that when we were kids, you weren't really the kind of person who spoke her mind. Someone else always had to stand up for you. You've changed a lot, Becca.
What did you expect? It's been, what, 17, 18 years?
What I'm trying to say is, I think I like this version of you more.
A beat?
Except when you're mad, and you're yelling, and you're glaring daggers at everyone. You're pretty scary, you know.
Well, don't say that so casually. Also, if you're just going to complain, you might as well just end this talk right now.
See what I mean? Even Z-Man's scared of you. I'd bet my entire salary on it.
She swats my arm, a gesture light and familiar. It causes both of us a burst into peals of laughter afterwards. When was the last time we shared something like this? I can't even remember. It's nice though. To have another conversation like this, just sit side by side simply enjoying each other's company. I'm not very fond of looking back to the past. Most of it means having to remember unpleasant things for me, but sometimes, hold around the bad, there are good ones. And Rebecca's there for the most of it. Things may change, but her friendship is one thing I will hold dear. When we meet new people throughout our lives, as I yawn, but that doesn't mean I will care for her any less. Which makes the whole business with the letter even more urgent. Well, Rebecca's right. Isabella's reasoning also makes sense. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have after all. With that at stake, I can't let this curse win. If there's everything that if such thing even makes sense when we're dealing with the supernatural. Tonight, by any means, I need to go back to that accursed place. Alone. Because who knows what we might find in there? Whether or not the rest of them agree, but this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority. I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. My apprehension must have been quite obvious on my face. In a sudden motion, Rebecca reaches out and taps my arm. Though she does it gently, it startles me, nevertheless, and is enough to put a worried look on her. For a moment, she studies my face, eyes scrutinizing and searching. But before I can even avert my gaze, keep her from getting a read on me, she straightens, her worry abruptly fading to a look of disapproval.
You have a plan in mind, don't you?
It's a simple yes or no question. I can easily lie, yet her tone completely belies everything her words mean. Lies, not bellies. I may as well tell her everything. When all is said and done, she's still one of the few people I trust. However, every vein in my body knows she'll be the first one to disagree, put her foot down and stop me. And once she does, who else will be left to fix this? Zach? Isabella? Her? I do understand her concerns, but there are times when they are misplaced. This complication isn't what I need at the moment. What am I supposed to say? What is she expecting to hear from me? What answer will satisfy her? She certainly appears like she's hoping for more than yes or no. For an answer I can't give at the moment. Offer a vague answer.
I need to head off somewhere tonight.
A vague answer is all I can offer, and hopefully this will be enough. It's not an outright lie. That, though, doesn't make me feel any less awful about this. It's worse when you know she's asking only because she's worried. Part of me wants to admit that Isabella's suggestion is exactly what I'm planning tonight. What good will it do, though? I already told Zach, one person is enough. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing too much would cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, or at least where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst. Even if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. Rebecca doesn't need to know the kind of danger I might be throwing myself in tonight. She's prioritized herself and her own safety first before others. But it's never that easy with her, isn't it?
Am I allowed to ask questions this time?
You're asking one right now, aren't you?
It's a serious question, Ashton. Yes or no?
Hikaru! Hello! You have arrived with the carrot. So nice to see that you've upgraded.
You can, but I can't promise I'll answer them.
And there's the chicken one as well. Hikaru, you are aware you could dual wield them, right?
That's a nice way of saying no. You might as well just tell me to shut up.
You know I don't mean it like that.
Is there something I can do at least?
And there he goes. Dual wielding chicken and a carrot. It's a force to be reckoned. For an instant, I hesitate, pausing, fumbling for an answer. I hope Rebecca doesn't dual wield chicken and a carrot. It's more difficult with her because of all of this time, she still looks to me as if I'm the same kid from years ago, who she depended on when she has yet to find herself, who she turned to for answers despite my lack of them. It makes me all the more afraid to fuck up this time. In case I do, she's the last person I want to be with me. Getting her into trouble, getting her killed is not how I want to repay the friendship she has so generously offered after all these years. My friends are not supposed to be the ones taking repercussions of my mistakes. Those are my own doing, of my own responsibility. I fear a heavy weight on my shoulder they shouldn't be trapped into carrying. However, if there's one thing I can trust her with,
Stay safe. Keep the others safe. Watch over them while I'm out there. Make sure no one does anything stupid. You're good with that kind of stuff.
I'm a high school teacher, Ash, not anyone's babysitter.
a grimace is on her face, but I know she'll do it, even without me asking for it. She cares more than anyone, more than what her fiery temper expresses. And it eases something in me, knowing the others will have someone like her here. Sure enough, after a stretch of silence, she'll eventually nod. She does not entirely agree with this, in the distant look on her face, but she is willing to trust me on this. For now, that's enough. Either way, it's best that we simply leave things here for now. There's already an understanding, albeit something we don't agree with. No need to push it further. With a light, reassuring squeeze on her shoulder, I stand up as soon as the footsteps shuffle from the next room. It's getting slow and hesitant. It's only been an hour but still haven't gone to the mansion. Suddenly, Isabella comes into the view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She gives me a cursory look, then shifts a nervous one to Rebecca, who studies her with a curious gleam in her eyes. Their fight never did last long.
Are you free? Am I interrupting something? If it's okay, can we talk?
Interruptions could have not come sooner, and I'm all more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zack. I'm an outsider. They don't need me here. It's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse and flashing Rebecca a quick, knowing smile, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave the domain things on their own. Before Rebecca can say what's on her mind. Before the last frustrated glare she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory, one that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. After a few stern words from Isabel, Ashton was left alone with Rebecca. Despite his agreement with Isabel's idea, he knew he had a plan in mind, something that only hinted to Rebecca's disappointment. When all was said and done, the detective simply asked her to stay safe. Galway Shaw's Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies a quarter of the whole pub, provides an ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Which is exactly what I need tonight. The lively music and chatter, slipping out mostly unseen, becomes a piece of cake. Without much trouble, soon enough, I find myself standing outside under the chilly Luxburn night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, before the telltale smell of an impending rain. I'll give it about an hour or two before it starts. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we've had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket, hugging thick material closer to my body while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I paid no mind as I hurried towards my car. I nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However, ridiculous it sounds, I'm sure it won't be missed either, but I can't waste time here and wait her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. 3 if I'm inclined to go by the rules Z-Man set, but when have I ever? Regardless how generous that is, each second is just as important as the next. So I hurry, one step over the other, echoing as I make the beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second is practically a universal rule, and it does in the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up to a wry smile. She offers no greeting except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with non-voiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky when I come up with a stand beside her. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, very thick with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away, while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep warm, which raises a question when she's out here. The air is already heavy with the promise of rain, with clouds obscuring the view. And there's really nothing left to look at but the dark blanket of nothingness. Yet still, she stands there as if she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That or she's here for some other reason. But before I could voice a single word, express a disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, simply cutting off the rest of my
I'm
question.
not here to stop you. Wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight, I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will,
I got
in
a
a
bad
moment.
feeling about this.
Don't worry. It's gonna be fine. Souls, I am fairly certain that what's going to happen right now is going to be a good feeling. Trust me.
I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice, even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
The confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If this fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try, but you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us as people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us, to all of us. And it made me realize plenty of things about myself, about us.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly the pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before. And every time I see it on her, I'm usually followed by a memory, a silly story, or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who much rather forget, she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times
Do
again.
you remember that one time back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
To make it sound like I'm some sort of a hero, Mandy was in the wrong, of course. I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are, it would have escalated and who knows? Maybe she would have stopped going to the school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should have known better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's as simple as that. Yet, she smiles as if it's worth more than that. A fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time, I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens. Ash, I've always been in love with you.
See, Souls? Nothing bad's going on here. She says it and sits so plainly, holding my gaze, and in a voice too frank that her admission stuns me into silence. But the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought, as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, as she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years, this is what fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feelings of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary, since I made that promise to never leave, I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there's a relief. The weight's only being lifted from her shoulders so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. When she looks back at me, though, there's nothing but hope in them. Eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for the words. Because as much as this pains to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. I might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendship. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad she has stuck with me even through the toughest moments. Even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend of me, but nothing more.
Rebecca,
I draw in breath, ragged, unsure, uncertain how to put the words together so it will hurt her less, so the wounds that they might leave won't be as deep or scar. Indeed, I can only utter an apology.
I'm really sorry, Becca.
Stark refusal. There's always been someone else.
I'm glad, I'm happy you feel that way, but I can't. I can't. There's already someone that I'm in love with.
You don't think it is who I think it is. This was not by my actions. I simply tried to keep up the friendships. And Rebecca was being abrasive.
Someone else.
It takes all my willpower to force myself to even look at her. For sure she will be hurt. Maybe she'll even be angry. I don't hold it against her. When our eyes meet again, a smile's on her face. Kinder than every single one I've seen from her so far. It's nice to see it on her. It suits her more than her glares or the frowns. At the same time, it only serves to baffle
It's
me.
alright. I already knew. Kind of.
Yeah, but I should.
Don't beat yourself up over this. It's not your fault. I'm the one who should apologize. Since I suddenly sprung this up on you when you have other things to do, I just thought I should let you know. And now that you've given me an answer, I guess I can finally let this whole thing go, huh? One question though. Are you going to tell her?
Tell what to who?
I pause, frowning, a brief moment of doubt while I try to figure out what she's talking about all of a sudden. When it finally sinks in though, my bewilderment hastily gives way to an utter embarrassment.
Oh, shit.
It abruptly crawls up to my face, no matter my efforts to keep it down. In the end, I can only look away from her, afraid of what else she'll see in it.
Did you really think no one would notice?
Was it that obvious?
It was surprisingly easy to tell, but that was probably because I've known you longer than anyone.
Fuck, who else knows?
I think Zach suspects.
Shit.
Ashton, you're in trouble. I guess all the horrible feelings that Rebecca had in the beginning, I guess she was in the right after all. Ashton, god damn it.
You're embarrassingly lame when you're trying too hard. It's almost painful to watch. Don't worry. With your terrible way of flirting and knowing her, I'm quite sure Belle has no idea, even now. Not even a clue.
Harsh, Rebecca. Really harsh. I could use a vote of confidence, you know.
Ashton, you're terrible. She laughs, loud, the kind that's free of any burden, ringing above the wind, slowly picking up as the storm clouds approach. With it, however, the awkward atmosphere lifts at least. There's only being camaraderie we've shared since meeting in that classroom 17 years
I'm
ago.
serious though. Tell her. And if you ever make her cry, I'll hit you with every damn history book I have on my shelf. Clear?
Noted, ma'am.
Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you'll be careful, alright?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she gives me a push with a force heavy enough to throw me off balance. Caught unawares by my gesture for a few moments, I fight the purchase against my car's trunk, raising my hand for its smooth surface. When I look up, with a string of reprimands ready to tip off my tongue, Rebecca's already halfway through the parking lot. A small skip in her steps, while the breeze carries the light tune she's whistling. On a whim, and it's notes to be the last thing I commit to memory before slipping inside my car and driving off. It sounds like a new beginning more than anything. Ashton left the mansion at nightfall. When he got to his car, he found Rebecca waiting for him. Fearing that she might not have the chance, Rebecca confessed her feelings. However, Ashton couldn't reciprocate. With a sad smile, Rebecca accepted his fate. She only wanted him to know. Another reason to be optimistic. Within 10 minutes, I'm driving out of Luxburn and heading straight for Anselm Village. We've been here for over an hour and we're finally getting here. In the distance, flashes of the lightning light up the horizon, white and sharp against the black curtain of the night. Thunder threatens with a rumble. Seconds later, echoing long across the sky. And with one last roar, the skies open in earnest. Midnight. Seriously? Ashton, you picked up the absolute worst time to go there. At the Halloween night. Somebody is not aware of certain traditions from the neighboring country, and you will pay for it dearly. The rain falling fast, steady sheets creating shallow puddles in the dirt path, drenching everything the eyes can reach. Despite having grown up in the city, still despise the rain. Living here doesn't mean I have to like it. Lucky me. I've reached the mansion before the downpours turned torrential. The long slog from Anselm Village by foot has already been made difficult by the light drizzle and the biting winds buffeting against my body every few seconds. By the time I found the cover under the trees lining the vicinity of the mansion, my shoulders are already drenched. My hair is also sticking against my skin and out of every possible direction. Thankfully, letter, taser, and gun I brought with me has remained relatively dry. That's the most important thing. However, those are the least of my problems at the moment. Sometimes after the housewarming party, scumbag Wright has suddenly grown a brain and tightened the security around the mansion. A guard is now stationed at every possible point of entry. The main entryway, the back door leading to the kitchen. Hell, it's almost a miracle no one spotted me once I entered the property, although that's probably because I've kept close to the forest. I can always create a clever way in for myself out of this deluge. It'll be difficult to do so without making much noise or leaving
I
tracks.
don't really have the luxury either, do I?
Considering how off this place feels, I've stepped into the property and the mansion came into view. Every light is off. Even the security personnel on the patrol outside, the whole house itself, it feels empty, eerie, too quiet. Normally I pass it off as some kind of power outage because of the storm. It's not far off conclusion when this place is almost in the middle of nowhere. However, something just feels wrong,
Something happened here.
or about to. This is all the reason why I haven't done anything yet. Simply observing, watching, listening. For anything I might have pressed for time, but I'm not a careless idiot. Although I need to find a way in desperately so without moving, thinking will not only endanger me. Without so many unknown variables of what we're dealing with, I also have to act on the assumption that someone is always in danger, especially in this place. I can't act impetuously. As much as I hate Wright, I'm not about to cause his death because of one thoughtless action. If there's a place he deserves to be at, it's in prison, not a morgue. So with a hoarse, painful sobs on the rings out, above the loud pitter-patter rain, only then do I stir. A woman, perhaps a servant, or worse, Hannah Wright. It's coming from the forest. Just right up ahead, in fact, not too far from the noise. Regardless, I give the place a quick, wary glance before following the noise. Oh boy. Carefully keeping to the shadows, one cautious step after another. Louder and louder as it goes as I near. Until it abruptly turns into a loud, desperate, anguished cry. I break into a run. One nervous hand, ready on the gun holstered at my hip. The other hand raised balance as I scurry across the dense understory. Dead leaves crunch under my shoes and I pay no mind. There's only the voice, the woman, and nothing. Abruptly, it all stops, and I am met with a sudden hush. Blank, empty, almost deafening in its stillness. Even my labored breathing and pounding heartbeats against my ears. Behind me, another branch breaks and...
Help me.
There was more than one voice in it. Dread surges within me as I spin around and take a hard step back, ignoring the chilly pinpricks crawling at the back of my neck. But before I can even meet her eyes, the world unexpectedly pitches sideways, tilting till the ground beneath me finally crumbles. My hands fight for purchase, only to meet air. By then it's too late. My foot slips further, and the rest of my body follows. Dark spots blur the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. More than that are the voices, lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride. Over, it's because you didn't listen. And over, it's all your fault. And over again. Why won't you believe me? A reminder of what I failed to do and who I failed. What I'm trying to desperately fix. A scream threatens to burst. My throat closes off. Ever so slowly, A chill seeps into every nerve of my body, washing away every sensation in me, apart from one. There's only fear. Once again, her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It's the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The roll slows to a stop. The storm has started to earnest, and the Ashton arrived at the mansion. While trying to find a way in, the detective noticed an eerie sunset that had enveloped the place. Something was wrong inside, but before he could figure it out, the sobs of a woman soundly echoed. Half darkness greets me when my eyes finally step open, the soft patter of a dripping water somewhere spurring my consciousness further. For a few short moments, I remain still, blinking away the dizziness, allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and my breathing to even out first, before pushing myself up on one arm and attempting to stand. Turning alone is a struggle on its own. An inch of movement sends a snap of sharp pain and right up my arms and my back, giving me another pause.
Shit. I hope I didn't break anything. Fuck.
There doesn't seem to be any injury or major fracture, although the whole of my back does feel sore and raw, albeit from when I skidded down prior to landing myself here. A comforting thought. The second attempt comes easier later, though no less painful. By the time I'm back on my feet, the exertion has left me gasping in short, shallow breaths and leaning heavily on the wall nearest to me. Behind me, a light draft blows in from where I've fallen in. Coming in, a sharp burst into what's apparently an underground tunnel and brings in the fresh earthly smell of the rain from the topside. Regardless, it fails to mask the old musky scent of the place, musty. The mixture of mold, mildew, dust, grease, and something distinctively foul, like death. More worrisome than the putrid festering smell, however, are the cells that line both sides of the tunnel. Under the dim light, I can barely make out what's inside on some of them, but I already have few ideas. All of them I refuse to delve into at the moment. Knowing how long this mansion has stood, somehow, no matter how unexpected finding the existence of these places, it isn't too
I
surprising.
wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Probably not. Alice is also the kind of person who takes joy in inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I don't really think so. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He'll probably balk at this, move out at the first opportunity, and have it demolished. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me real as well. I've known long ago places like this tend to hold secrets. This though? If this is just the tip of the iceberg? I fear what I may discover in the mansion itself, and the tale behind the fucking letter. But feels inconsequential. As unpleasant as the sight of this is, this place might have also been the only way for me to get inside unnoticed. Sighing and taking one last gulp of the clean air, I push away from the wall and delve deeper into the
Let's
passage.
just hope it'll be smooth sailing from here on.
Turns out that alone is too much to ask for this early. Now 20 paces into it, another sound abruptly raises from my footfalls, rebounding off the hollow walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel before fading away just as swiftly as it rang. I pause, nevertheless, straining my ears for more of it, while I gradually moved my hand to my side, slow and steady until the tips of my fingers brush up the gun's handle. Although cold against my skin, it's the closest thing I have to comfort at the moment. For a long minute, I wait, holding my breath, watching for every form, edge, and shadow at the corners of my vision for any movement. After a heartbeat or nothing, I allowed the tension to ease out the passage. Ease out of me in the form of a long, slow exhale that reverberates around the whole passage.
Who's there?
Perhaps it's because of what has happened earlier and how I ended up here, or maybe it's because of my training, but despite the panic and fear in my voice, I don't immediately answer. Instead, I pull my gun free from its holster and mercilessly draw closer to where the voice rings out once again. Afraid, frantic, weak.
I'm asking you a question. Who's there?
It's only after I release the safety do I answer, or continue my approach in a careful, steady
I
pace.
think I should be the one asking you that. Who are you? Show yourself.
I can't. I'm stuck in here.
Well, a ghost will definitely not be saying that, or have a conversation like this, or be stuck anywhere. And as if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells and waves. Then she pulls back, grips to the iron bars and rattles it slightly.
I can't get out. Can you help?
Wait, how long has she been here? She's been here for 3 days. This is the 4th one. Dear God, how has she survived this long? The 5 quick steps, I'm standing in front of the cell, and sure enough, there's a woman inside. Slumped to the floor, holding bars with shaking hands, clinging to it as if it's the only thing keeping her upright. Not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
The same one I met, geez, 5 days ago. Smashed drunk and babbling her frustration about her employers.
Holmes?
No, not McLaughlin. McCullough. Marianne McCullough. Famous interior designer extraordinaire. Not so extraordinary now, with how exhausted and feeble she looks, trapped in a jail cell, of all things. Her breathing shallow, and there's a paleness in her complexion. Sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin. All signs pointing of starvation and dehydration.
You... How long have you been stuck in here?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore.
I was kinda hoping how bad condition she would be in, but I guess not. We're just seeing an empty cell.
Just fell in and that woman... Whatever. Can you get me out of here? Please.
In a moment. But here, go feed yourself first before you fall over.
I fished out an empty pot from my pocket and handed to her. Just lucky I always have one on my person. For sudden emergencies or extended stakeout, a little sugar to keep me going. Like any starving person, she wastes no time to make the grab for it, unwrapping it straight away and taking the whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face on the first bite alone, although she's going to need more than that. If what she said is true, but for the moment, it's enough to keep her alive. Good thing she seems to have sense of priority survival over comfort, if the bottle in the corner of the cell indicates anything. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days. No food, and give it an average of 3 weeks, and even then, it won't be a pretty experience. Granted, some have survived longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Now to get her out. My poppy beams won't be any use here. Not like I need it. Unlike the ones we have at the precinct, a simple barrel hinge holds the gate of this cell together. Even without any special tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I'll need a lever of some sort to help.
What are you looking for?
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe. Anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I may find something in one of the open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. I can't have another person trapped in here. However, McCall ended up inside. My head snaps back to her. McCall extracts a wooden board from under the mess of hay and twine near her. Without prompting, she slips it through what little space there is between the bars. It's short, but appears thick and sturdy enough for the intended purpose. On closer inspection,
Good enough.
I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door, and applying ample force on the other end. It takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part. Still, a grunt, a gasp, a creak. In a matter of minutes, with a little help from her on the other side, the door eventually lifts off its hinges. Also, I need to check something really quickly. I apologize. Oh yeah, we're so fine. It falls off the ground with a loud, ugly metallic thud, but the sound of it puts elation on McCulloch's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls out of the prison she accidentally found herself in. More than happy to get out of it, despite the lack of strength to stand firmly on her feet.
Thank you so much. After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there. If you didn't show up, today, I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
For a second she appears hesitant, looking away and fumbling awkwardly with her fingers.
I was looking for something. Someone.
A contemplative expression flickers in her eyes. Something that's called sort of wistful, like when a person remembers a memory she is fond of. It doesn't last too long, but it still leaves me the impression that I've suddenly walked into something private. Something deeply personal for her. I'd rather not ask.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen, then.
There's a door of some sorts. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry. And I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans.
What do you mean?
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here. People died in this place. Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore. It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
Here we go. The breakthrough.
The bloody letter! Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me. But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
Nikala, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh God! Oh God! Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer...
Mikalo!
Abruptly, she stops, looks past at me like a wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it so many times past few days, even from my own friends even. To know she has been seeing things that kind of easily makes any person go mad. And perhaps we slowly are. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into it becomes. I can't tell which one's worse, death or this. Seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll be something horrible waiting for us. I need to hurry.
I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me.
What? No! Why would I go back?
Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet? An exit's right here.
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you'd rather see Luke Wright choke on his own wine glass, but...
Damn right I do. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
It strikes a chord. She falters, grows quiet as the tension lifts from her and her shoulders slump. I do understand her issues with this. In fact, she doesn't have to go with me. Only to tell enough info I can figure it out on my own. She can always leave afterwards. Be down with the whole damn mansion and the letter. The other end of this tunnel leads right into the forest. We'll provide ample cover for her to be able to slip out of the property unnoticed. All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly. Then a word, she gestures me to follow, leading me further into the passage. After his fall, Ashton found himself in an underground passage when he came to. There, he encountered Marianne McCullough, who got trapped in one of the jail cells for several days. The detective managed to free her, and in turn, she helped him to find a way to the mansion. Occasionally she'll stop, find a purchase on the wall to catch her breath, but throughout the short walk, she asks for neither a break nor assistance. I suppose that's something we have in common. Eventually we get to a dead end. Although before I can question her on it, she begins palming for something on the wall, tracing her fingers along the weathered edges of the bricks with a frown on her
It
face.
should be somewhere here, I think.
What the hell are you doing?
She merely throws up a hand, begging for my silence, and continues searching. Then, without a warning, a few minutes later, something clicks. A portion of the wall shifts ajar to reveal a glimpse of another room. Bottles lining the walls, liquor bottles for aging. The wine cellar
The
indeed.
ladder to the kitchen is on the far end of this room.
Surreal. This is all nothing but a surreal nightmare. But after everything, should this even surprise me? Ghosts, curses, hidden passages. I can't even bring myself to question the existence of this door anymore. I simply follow her into Undercroft without a single question, in spite of the number of them already swimming inside my head. As a kid, I used to crave for this kind of adventure. The stuff of mystery and detective novels, daring chases, interesting cases to solve, suspect to put behind bars, justice to serve. I was blinded, I admit. Now I simply want this to be over. Leave the door open in case there's a need for a quick exit, especially after she mentions it's the only by chance she was able to open the door last time. Can't waste time finding a switch again on occasion something goes horribly wrong. It's bound to be with me feeling high-strung and tense. I'm not even sure why I thought it would be a good idea to enlist McCullough's help. Although she has been quite helpful so far, I can't shake up the horrible feeling something's going to happen to her if she stays with me. Even if I'm her safest bet, if she wants to get out of this place alive.
Did you say something?
McCullough pauses mid-step, turning to me confused.
I didn't.
You sure? I just heard...
Don't you think I'll be the first person who'll know? Look, the ladder leading to the kitchen's up ahead. You might want to hurry. I just want to be done with this place.
See? You dragged another one.
This time I'm sure. There's really a voice. Well, voices. Despite the look of protest McCullough suits me, I find myself stopping and looking for it, searching the immediate surrounding for a familiar form of a woman. I don't even have to venture too far from where I'm standing. Just an arm's length away from me, a mirror litters the floor. And right on the biggest fragment, they speak. All singing the same mocking tune against my ear, letting it echo throughout the small undercroft. Murmurs and laughter, jeering, scoffing, deriding, lacing venom into every crevice of my head. haunting me.
Another person into this ashes.
Into another one of your silly little problems.
All because you can't fix them on your own.
You really haven't changed, have you? Some hero you are.
Useless.
Pathetic.
You're wrong.
My mistake lies in the first incident that I've answered. The very second denial has slipped from my mouth, the words have also seeped into my heart, allowing to prod at and rouse my temper. Despite knowing they're merely doing this to goad me, each word, each syllable trickle into me, spurring the guilt I hope I've long buried.
Or is that simply what you've been telling yourself all this time?
Something to make yourself feel better, perhaps.
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
How does it feel, I wonder? To know you're responsible for all of this?
What do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still trying to fix this?
Oh, but you can't. It's already too late. And you know that. You know all of this is futile.
Again, it's actually not the letter. Everything points out towards the letter, but it's not. And I have evidence of this.
Just face it, Ashton Frey. You're a failure, and they are the ones who have to pay for it.
Just a moment.
A badge and a gun, and you still can't protect your own friends.
Can't even solve a case for an old man.
Can't even bring the right to justice.
Can't even keep his own family together.
No wonder they left you. Before you do the same thing to them.
Mom and Dad are better off without little old you, aren't they? It's a good thing they had the sense.
Pitiful, isn't it? Some detective you are. Some friend you are. Some son you are.
You might as well just throw that rank away. You're no use to people either way.
Shut it!
I hate this. I hate how this monster can easily get through to me. Every weakness, every insecurity it knows. I hear it said in my friend's voice. Prince's voice, even more so. What I hate above all of it is...
You know it's true, though.
All of it.
It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it.
You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
Shut it! Not a single word anymore.
In the end, your own incompetence will eventually lead to the deaths of everyone you care about.
It laughs at sharp and piercing, and it sounds something in these snaps, rage hastily unfurling, red filling my vision. The next thing I know, I'm raising my hand and something grabs my wrist, followed by a buzz of another voice breaks through the haze.
Don't listen to it!
The fog from my mind lifts. Every sound, every noise returns to me, flooding my every senses all at once. There's this deafening silence. Slowly, I become aware of my surroundings. Bottles of wine, barrels of liquor, the faint old scent of death and decay somewhere. The hand holding on my wrist, as if to keep me from hurting myself. My hand is short. Blood drips from... I clicked by accident. Blood drips from where in has cut... The blood drips from where in... That's a typo. It has cut my palm, trailing down my wrist until it disappears behind my sleeve. Not too deep, not legible evil. There's pain, however, a different kind. an ache somewhere that stems from not from the wound, but where every single word has hit. And I glance up at McCullough. She merely stares at me with wide, horrified eyes.
Don't listen to it. No matter what happens, don't do what it says. It's how it gets us.
My grip on its shard falters, but only after I nod and drop it entirely does she release her grip. Afterward, she simply steps back and looks away, hugging her arms closer to herself. She breathes a sigh, heavy. Perhaps weighted with her own guilt, what this monster might have used against her.
Come on, we're getting close.
She walks over with another comment. There's a worry in her as she gives the fragment one last glimpse. Before he could go deeper into the wine cellar, Ashton began to hear voices from the mirrors, from mirror the shards on the floor, mocking him for his failures. Though before he could do anything rash, Marion stopped him. Lightly, he realized he had picked up broken mirror shard. On the ground, they lie lifeless now. No more voices, no more insults. But even as I walk away, one whispered taunt continues to ring in my ears.
It's useless, Ashton Frey. You aren't going to die. And you are going to die alone.
A fear. One that has long kept the dark place in my heart. One that small part of me wishes for. The trap door swings open without much fuss. It is even locked, but be left open when the Wrights ask for some midnight snack. I make sure this coast is clear, of course, before I pull myself and help McCullough up. The butler upstairs is nowhere to be seen. He's probably sleeping, attending to his master, or doing some extra late night work before turning in for the night. Meanwhile, Wright won't touch anything to do with the menial chores. Not even with a 10-foot pole. It's next to impossible for him to linger here. No servants, no anyone. And just as easy as that, we're in. Gently across the hatch. If things go well, same path will be on our way. If our luck doesn't hold, that's not an option now, is it? I have people waiting for me. I really don't want to think what might happen. Sometimes it's best if we simply revel into little victories. The great blessings when everything else is going against you. And in a place like this, the rot of unknown dangers, it's a feeling that lasts only for a second. It's only a sob. Ringing out from a distant part of the house, echoing through its empty halls. Beside me, slumped to the floor, on the ground, pale and breathing heavily, McCullough immediately tenses. Her eyes goes wide as she grips on the side of the counter with a force and might enough to crack it, if only she had the strength. As it is, she can barely stand. She hasn't fully recovered, makes sense of the 3 or 4 more days without proper food and water. And it's this weakness that puts the fear in her eyes. She's aware. If something happens, if there's a need to run, she won't be able to. She's a liability at this point.
I really don't think going any further is a good idea. Look at this place. Everything seems fine. Nothing's off. Maybe we should just go? I really don't like the sound of that.
You really don't have to come with me. Just until the kitchen, yeah? We're already here. You've done your part. From here on, I'm going on my own.
Yes, I said that, but...
Can you even stand?
She doesn't
You'll
answer.
only be putting yourself in more danger if you follow after me. You have an easy way out of here. Stay here. Once you're okay, I need you to get yourself out of this place.
What? I'm not going to leave you!
Well, I'm not taking you with me either, lady. So it's here or out there.
You really are mad, aren't you?
Probably all will be, if no one fixes this little curse problem we have.
You think you'll find something in here? This is just a mansion, for God's sake!
Maybe. It's worth a shot. Besides, if what we're hearing right now says anything, I'd say scumbags.
Who?
Right. He might be knee-deep in trouble and he has no idea about it.
McCullough still appears if she's about to argue, so instead of more words, I unholster my taser and hand it to her. standard issue for every member of Luxburn police force, but it shouldn't take a genius to know how to aim and fire. Even Isabella might be able to use it without training. Yep, this interior designer Isidora said if I just handed her something particularly nasty.
Listen, you want to wait? Fine. I'm leaving this with you. But if I don't come back here within 15 minutes, I want you to backtrack and get the hell out of here.
Are you daft, Holmes? I already told you.
In case something goes wrong, I need someone who can tell people what's going on. Who can tell my friends what might have happened here. They're at the crawl. You know the place, right?
I trail off, letting the meaning of my words hang in the air. I want to be optimistic about this, really. However, I'm going against something almost everyone can't quite understand. I'm just being realistic with my chances. McCall seems to understand this as well after what I've said. A's out of protest have already died from her tongue, and she simply looks at the taser quietly. After a moment, she just nods. So let me check something. Let me just quickly check, just in case that cat isn't streaming right now. Not yet, at least. Oh, hi, Foxy. Thanks for warning me about that. The fact that you're here, mind notifying me once she's, online? Beyond the walls of this room, the cries continue to grow louder, and I take it as a sign to leave. Without another word, I slip out of the door. Like a siren call, her voice beckons. Upon reaching the kitchen, the crying Ashton heard from the outside began anew. Unwilling to risk a civilian, Detective handed Marianne a taser and advised her to leave if he didn't return after 15 minutes, even if he himself was uncertain if he would. Finding out who that is seems a good place to start as any. I keep the shadows for the most part. Not that there's any need to. The entire place just feels empty. Look, Foxy. Hikaru has learned to dual wield. We're in danger. Odd when a house this big should have had large staff. You'd think there'd be one or two roaming about for some late night chores, or someone seeks out whoever's creating this ruckus. There's none, however.
They have security posted inside as well?
Unless the security means butler, though I doubt Scumbag's that sloppy. He loves his life more than anything. Probably more than his own wife. The things he's done, he's bound to make more than an enemy or two. He's also the kind who'll do anything to keep himself safe. Alive.
I wonder what he'll say when he finds out that there's something not human living with him in his own house.
Potential dangers aside, being on my own grants me a great exchange of mobility, which I'm more comfortable with. I don't know, Hikaru. You tell me. Do we need to fear these gods? Sure, I could really enlist McCulloch's help. Next to the people who owns it, she's probably the one who's most familiar with the mansion. But the cons bringing her outweighs the pros. She's better off somewhere quick exit in sight. With no tag-along, I only have to worry about myself. Watch my back. Selfish, I know.
Necessary.
In the same matter, this whole plan is, no matter how idiotic going into this is. Besides, I don't really need a guide when the room's layout is fairly simple. atmosphere with only few modifications to the room. Although I've only been here once, I think I already have a good grasp of this place's ins and outs. As long as you can tell which is east and west, it shouldn't be hard to find my way around. After the dining room, the main floor should be the next thing that greets me, where the woman's cries are leading me. Honestly, after what happened outside, I'm not even sure if I should be trusting what I'm hearing. With the whole house somehow seemingly devoid of any of its inhabitants, I'm inclined to look into this. More to the surviving discourse, a huge part of this is my training speaking.
Just hope this isn't a crime scene I'm walking into.
But nothing's ever that simple, isn't it? Not when you're dealing with supernatural. Nope. Because as soon as my feet crosses to the next room, something shifts. In a flash, nearly without a fanfare. Hikaru, are you sure I'm imagining things? Because I'm fairly certain everything's covered in blood. It happens in a blink of an eye. I almost miss it. One moment, there's red. The next, I'm standing alone in the foyer. For a brief instant, I pause. Glancing wildly around the place, blinking twice as if my movements will spur the vision back. Yet, nothing. No blood dripping on the walls, none trailing down the stairs or the pool to the floor. No eyes watching my every movement. Only the same cries gradually growing the intensity as the longer I dally, along with the voice. Desperate.
Where are you, Mother?
Pleading.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
Coming from the same direction I've heard the cries from. Upstairs. The place is not entirely empty then. Better question is, who? Definitely not Scumbag or the butler. I've yet to see hide nor hear of them, and not knowing their whereabouts puts me on edge. I have to be careful not to make any noise to be seen. Maybe the wife? Though one can't really tell if it's her. The way the walls echo her voice. Nevertheless, it pushes me to move. With almost 2 steps at a time, despite the sickening feeling that something's lurking behind every great shadow, every small corner I pass, as if the house has several eyes watching my every movement, as if something alive dwells behind the walls itself. I try to shake it off. Upon reaching the kitchen, crying Ashton heard from outside began anew. On alert, he continued deeper into the mansion, even if he was uncertain if he would get out of the place alive. I tried to shake it off. The uneasy sensation has already made home in the pit of my stomach. Dread, and it only grows deeper the closer I get to her. The relative emptiness of the place doesn't help either. Neither does the harsh wind battering the windows nor the sheets of the rain pelting down the roof. For a fleeting second, I find myself wishing for Scumbag to simply show up. I don't get too far into that train of thought. Abruptly, the cries stop, replacing it with,
Please. She's here. She's here, Mother. She's going to take me. She won't leave, Mother. I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away. Mother! Mother, she's here! Help!
that can't be good. Adrenaline overcomes me in a rush. In no 2 heartbeats, my feet's already moving before any sense can catch up or doubt creeps up to me. My hand's already at the holster as I hastily set off the far side of the hall, one alarm footsteps after another, while struggling to keep the sense of panic at bay. The door lies ajar at the end, and coming from the floor above.
Going to hurt me! Help me!
I do not hesitate, moving in despite the lack of light. The stairs, steep stairs, or the thick layer of the dust kicking up with every step. I pause only moment upon reaching the top. Then without wasting a second, I push the door open. She sits in the middle of the room, shoulders hunched, shaking. Her hands cover her face as she weeps, oblivious to my presence. It's as if she has heard neither my footsteps nor the soft creaking of the door, continuing undisturbed, like I'm standing in the time far removed from her. She doesn't even flinch when I call out to her.
Hey, are you alright?
Mother,
Walls in the night.
take me with you, please.
Through the hollow halls, the voice rings.
Still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Lately, I notice a blot on her hands. It's the same one trenching the whole attic. If it's the same one that's trenching the whole attic, I'd rather not know. How the whole room ended up like this is the least of my problems at the moment. If a single human body doesn't have this much blood. So, bodies? That sends an unpleasant twinge in my stomach. Does Frat even know about this? Is bad news alright, but this is beneath him. He'll definitely balk at the first sight of it. Anyone will. Cat's here! It's time to go see Cat! We'll be heading there in a moment. Yet the woman lingers, unmoved by the sight, letting her sobs fill the room, repeating the words over and over again like a prayer of salvation. To whom? The mess of parchment she has left on the floor? Just what the hell is happening?
Hey, lady, are you?
The rest of the question never makes it out. I don't even see it coming. I should have been more aware and on guard, really. There's a little I can do when a well-placed blow to the back of my knees makes me stumble. The sobs led Ashton to the mansion's attic. In the middle of the room, he found a woman crouched on the floor, crying. Cautiously, he approached her, but as he was about to reach out for her, someone grabs him from behind. It's Scumbag. However, as Cat's online, cliffhanger. Hopefully next time I'll also fix the commands, so I don't have to manually trigger all kinds of things. So, shall we go say hi? And next time we'll finish this, and if we finish it within the first hour, we'll probably start a new game. What that is, I do not know yet. I need to check my list. So, let's see. Raid channel. I think that it shows the people with most viewers. Wouldn't you want to rate the channel with the least viewers? Anyway, thank you for watching, and next time we'll most likely finish this game. Maybe. I said that like 3 streams ago. Bye now.